Muy buenas tardes a todos los participantes, los que están en la parte virtual y los que se encuentran hoy en la modalidad presencial. Les queremos agradecer por asistir a este evento con UCL. También a los que nos encuentran de la parte virtual, un agradecimiento por hacer parte de este evento. Nos acompaña el día de hoy la representante de UCL, Petra Lewis. Hoy nos va a contar más sobre el programa que ofrece UCL y el convenio que tenemos con Colfuturo. Para empezar, me gustaría mencionarles este convenio, que es un descuento del 25% total de la matrícula. Es un año para las maestrías y para los doctorados de 3 años. Cabe mencionar que para los estudiantes de semillero, los participantes, se ofrece 2 becas totales del 100%. Entonces, espero que este espacio sea muy útil para ustedes. Cabe mencionar que todas las preguntas o dudas que tengan las pueden hacer al final, ya sea por medio del chat, las personas que están de manera virtual, y las personas de manera presencial pueden solicitar la palabra y se les va a dar el micrófono. So this is all. I want to say thank you, Petra, for being here with us. I think all the information is going to be really useful for all of us. So please go ahead. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hi, guys, and thank you for coming and taking some time out to hear a bit about UCL. This is my second time to Colombia, and I still haven't mastered the Spanish language, so please forgive me because this presentation will be in English. So UCL is one of the largest universities in the UK, for sure. We are one of the biggest, and we have over 53% of our students are international. So that's an encouragement because we are always proactively trying to diversify students coming to the UK, especially from this region. So, oh, really? Thank you. So just a bit about us, just generally, hopefully some of you may have looked up about UCL online, especially if you're considering coming to the UK. But one of our strap lines is Disruptive Thinking, and this is a strap line that we've had since 1826 when the university was established. And the reason we say disruptive is that many, many years ago, university was exclusively for men from the Church of England. And there was an ethos that Jeremy Bentham, who was one of our founders, wanted to open up education to women and to people from any religious or non-religious background. So UCL was the first university in England to welcome students from any religion or social background. We were also one of the first universities to open up to women as well. So some universities have admitted women, but they were only allowed to do certain programs. At UCL, we opened it up quite widely. So this is basically inherent in who we are, is welcoming people from different backgrounds, from different ideologies. That makes our community richer for it. And here's a few other sort of like, we're the first to have so this is fully access to women, and we're the first in England to teach English, German, chemistry and engineering. So it's really just to highlight the importance of this university in the UK and its history, but I won't talk too much about the history. If we go on to the next slide. Okay, just so that you're aware that UCL has a very good reputation worldwide. We're ranked 8th by the QS World Rankings. And if you look at some of the other universities worldwide, like, we're in a very good company. There are Oxford and Cambridge and Imperial College. We're ranked 4th in Europe and 1st in London. One of the things that's really important, especially for masters and PhD students, is the level of research. So UCL is part of the Russell Group, similar to what we call the Ivy League in the US. And UCL has been ranked #1 in the UK for research. So there are hundreds of universities in the UK and plenty of very good universities doing really good research. And so for us to be able to hold that title this year is Yeah, that's very significant and important to us. And it should be for those that are picking particular areas of study, and especially if they're looking for PhD programs. We have over 40, probably 3,000 students. Again, like I said, we are the largest university in the UK, and we recruit students from 150 nationalities, and including our staff as well. So we're very diverse, and you'll find that we have lots of academics, especially even from this region, that are teaching at our university. In terms of programs, postgraduate, we have over 600. So I'm not an expert on every single program. So it's really important that you do look at your program online that you're interested in and look at the modules. This is how you'll differentiate between other programs that may have similar names. So you'll come across, especially in areas like engineering or public policy, like similar programs. So just take your time, have a read, because it's a massive investment, and then also compare it with other programs at other universities. So if you're interested in doing economics can be taught differently in the UK. So it's very important. We lead in the fields across a wide range of faculty. So we have arts and humanities, brain science, built environment, medical, law, life sciences. We basically do a whole spectrum of academic subjects. So it's a great place for interdisciplinary learning. So you can take some learning and modules from other areas and combine them. You don't necessarily get joint honors like you would do in the US, but you definitely can. And we actively encourage students to learn across different faculties and different subject areas, depending on your interest. Like I said, our academics and our faculties are very much interdisciplinary. And this is how we work with our research and how we're trying to solve world problems, by connecting our different faculties and the implications and the impact. So very much, if you're thinking about coming to UCL, it's really about having a broad and open perspective in how you view your learning, academics, and the subject area that you're studying for. So just a little bit about our campus. We're creating campuses equipped for the future. So we've just invested over £1 billion in transforming some of our facilities. What this means, especially for those in science, is that you're getting the latest equipment, technology, accommodation, and learning resources available. We just built we're based in central London, but we've also built a new campus in the east of London. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with London. It's a big place and there are lots of universities there. So space is really at a premium. So we have just now invested and we have a new campus. It's due to open in a few weeks' time. Against the odds of COVID and the construction industry, they pretty much kept a schedule, which I think is phenomenal. One of the key requirements, or one of the things that we like to say at UCL, is that we teach our students how to think, not what to think. So we're teaching you how to open your mind. We're teaching you how to question. We're teaching you how to explore. We're not really trying to dictate and say, look, X equals Y, Y equals X. So it's really important that if you're making an application to UCL, that you really do kind of spend a bit of time investigating the culture of UCL online, the faculty, and whether it's a suitable fit for you, because there are many really good universities in the UK and in London, but we're all very different. And it's whether you are the right match for our institution and whether that institution is the right match for you. Just a few of our buildings. So just to verify that we are spending money on new buildings and equipment. So it's very, very fancy. Our new student center has like about 4 floors. And it's just where you can go and chill and study independently with groups of people. There's lots of resources available and student support for you based in our centre. So, and that's right in the centre of London. Life beyond the lecture theatre. At UCL, we really do encourage that this is not just a time for you to study academically, but it's also a time to explore opportunities outside of your academia. We have a fancy picture there of Hollywood celebrities, but the director is a UCL alumni and sometimes likes to film at our campus. So you never know, he might be there one day when they're filming. But we also encourage volunteering. We have clubs and societies in a plethora of different areas, and it's an opportunity to meet people outside of your academic area, outside of your class. We have sports and other societies to do with arts and culture. So there's lots of opportunities to just enjoy the non-academic side, to socialize, meet new people from all over the world and from outside of your academic area. This is just a map of London. So this will show you roughly where we are. So London is, a massive city, and UCL is really at the heart of that city. So it's a really exciting place to be, because we have the museums, we have the Royal Courts of Justice, we have our hospital, and actually in this particular area, there are lots of other universities. So there's an opportunity. I would say London is probably the #1 university city based on the fact and the number of different universities that are around. You can see we have the Tate Modern. To the east, we have our campus, the financial district. London is like the hub of everything. So it's the hub of the film industry, the creative, culture, finance, commercial, tourism. Everything basically happens in London, whereas in America, like, you have different states that represent different parts of their economy. So just a little bit about postgraduate study. So at UCL, obviously you have the options of doing the Master of Science, a Master of Administration, or the MRes, which is mainly a research-based master's program. The entry requirements for the UK, for your programs usually are always online. So we might have a little look at that a bit later. Applications are completed on our online portal, and this just discusses what is required. So we do recommend or require your academic transcripts in local language Spanish, but also in English. We will require 2 referees' email addresses. Please note that sometimes students fill out and do the whole application process and they don't hear back from UCL for a while, and they get a bit concerned. Sometimes that's because your references have not been submitted. So it's really important that you just kind of remind those that you've asked to submit the reference, because this could hold up your application. We'll talk a little bit about your statement of purpose. Obviously, you'll need to provide your proof of English, and most of our applications require a £90 fee that you need to pay. You can apply up to 2 master's programs, but then you'd be providing 2 statements and paying twice. So the entry requirements generally, so this is quite general, is we're looking for, if you're required to provide a upper second class, we're looking for like 4 out of 5, and then a lower 3.5 out of 5. So these are very general. You have to look at your actual program of interest, and then if you select your country, Colombia, it will convert and tell you what your entry academic requirements are. For your English language. So just to note that if you are submitting an application, don't worry that you have to submit your English requirements at the same time. You can submit them later. So the university can review your application. They can also give you a conditional offer based on your English grade. Again, depending on the type of course that you're doing will depend on what kind of English level that we will require. Not every program requires good, some require standard. And we accept different types of English evidence and English qualifications. Again, all of this is online, but it's really important because classes are so diverse, and you could have a lecturer that may be from Malta or from Sweden and their accent is very thick. It's so important that your English is at a good enough level. So one, you understand and you can converse, but also that you're in a class with people speaking English from different parts of the world. So it is definitely an important requirement, but don't worry too much about supplying it at the beginning of the application process, because you can submit it later. And if you, for instance, didn't pass the IELTS exactly, you can retake it and submit that again, okay? Wait there, let me just go back and purpose of statement. So I just want to quickly just go back onto the statement of purpose, because we're one of the largest universities in the UK and we're also ranked very highly. It's very, very competitive. Very, very, I can't emphasize enough how competitive. Last year we received 72,000 applications. So it is, the basic requirement is meeting the academic requirements for your program. This does not guarantee your place, obviously. Your statement of purpose is so important in this application process. Please don't underestimate like how that can impact. The statement of purpose won't compensate if you are below the grade, because it's very competitive to get into UCL. But when you're doing your statement of purpose, this is why I say it's important to kind of get an understanding or an interpretation of UCL, because we're trying to find out whether you match us. And we're trying to find out not just about your academic, but you as a bit of as a person as well. So we want to see some of your personality come out, your awareness of yourself, why you want to do this program, why in London, why at UCL, because some of the programs you'll be choosing, you could study at a plethora of universities in London and in the UK. So we really want to see, the faculties really want to see what your passion is, what your drive is, what you've done before, how you see your career going forward. So really spend a bit of time doing this statement, and get some people to have a look and give you some feedback on that, because it could be the difference between you being offered a place and not, even if you have excelled past the academic criteria for the program. Postgrad. So I just wanted to briefly go over postgraduate research, because one or two of you in the room, but there may be people online that are interested in postgraduate research PhD programs. And we do receive a good healthy number of students from Columbia that study PhD programs in the UK. So most of the opportunities are not packaged up as studentships. So unfortunately with PhD students, like, you really have to be proactive in looking for the opportunity that you want to study in UCL and in the UK. And I've just listed a few ways in which you can try to go about that, just to make it helpful, because it is a bit difficult, not just at our university, but in others, in trying to spot and secure opportunities to do research. And we know that the funding here will pay for you to support you to do that. So one of the ways is to browse research programs to find a center of research in the area of your interest. So you can do this on our website. And as research students, I'm expecting that you're good at doing online research. You can search for relevant academic units and potential supervisors on our website, on our IRIS, which is our Institutional Research Information System. But not all academics are listed, but it is definitely a good place to start. And search our online research repository as well, where you can see research papers that have been published. And if there's an area that is similar or aligned to your interests, then you can try to get forward by reaching out to a supervisor. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the postgraduate study research, but we do have a web page on our website that gives you clear step-by-step guides in how to apply for research, because it's not as straightforward as a regular application form online. So please feel free to check that out or contact me. We are very happy that we are partners with Kufature. We do receive lots of applicants and Colombian students that come to UCL on this funding. So just be encouraged that students do get in and they do get that funding. And as part of our partnership, we will give you 25% discount off of your fees, which is quite a large amount. And if any of you have looked at our prices, it's quite large. So a discount of that of 25% is very good, because our discounts, depending on different funders, range and they get basically lower. So if you secure this one, this is a good one to get. Obviously, you can come and do the 1 year masters. So all of our masters programs are 1 year. Unfortunately, under postgrad international students cannot study part-time in the UK for your visa. So it's 1 year and 3 years for the PhD. And we don't cap how many students. So if we had 70 turn up on our doorstep, that's fine, you're all more than welcome. And once you apply through the funding, obviously through the funders, and then once they confirm that you are in receipt and you have an offer from us and you accept that offer and you're coming, we will automatically reduce that from your fees. So you don't need to submit like a separate application. Like you may have your letter from your funder, you can send that to us, but we will liaise with them directly and they confirm who you are. We also have the 100% fee, but we so that means your fees are paid 100%, but that's only for 2 students. So it's probably it's a very prestigious an award, and it's only for masters and it cannot be used on any kind of clinical program. Okay. And you need to have been awarded the Kufature loan scholarship to receive that. So I think the main thing is that Kufature is accepted at a number of different partners. I think it's great that it's also available at UCL, bearing in mind that we're a very highly ranked university, and especially for research. And then we give quite a generous discount. If you do want to look for more opportunities for scholarships, you can look on our website as well. One of the other things is that you can combine scholarships. So if you are awarded this scholarship and you're awarded some other type of funding, like you can use multiple funding to come to UCL. So but we wouldn't give you double discount. So we wouldn't give you the discount for the Kufature and then give you a discount for another funder. So you'd only get one from us, but you can use multiple funding to come to UCL. And so, yeah, definitely have a look on our scholarship finder. If you go on there now, you might not find much. It may be a bit later on in October that you might start to see more opportunities. So October, and then just always keep looking, especially on the faculty website, because sometimes the faculty will get funding, additional funding that they will advertise. It may be very last minute, so always keep an eye out. So that's yeah, a general presentation about UCL, about our partnership. I could talk to you about London for hours, but it's getting late. And I'm open for questions. Please note that there is a lot of wealth of information on our website, and I'm contactable. So if you ever have any questions, yeah, please contact me, because it's my job really just to support prospective students from this region.
Okay, thank you so much for that information. So guys, do you have any question for Patriba? Yeah. Hi.
I was wondering about the application deadlines or the timeline for applications.
Okay, yeah, no, that's a good question, and I didn't cover that. So if you're thinking of applying for September 2023, applications will be open from the 17th of October. And they usually close around March, but please check on the program that you're interested in online, because some programs will close a little earlier depending on how popular they are, and some a little later. But the rule of thumb, most of the applications close in March. Don't leave it till the very last minute though, because we offer our offers out on a rolling basis. So as the applications come in and we get all the relevant transcripts, we will review, we'll give out an offer. So if you leave it very late, it may be that all the spaces have been filled in that period. But there's no big rush.
And I have another question. For a master's degree, do you think it's important to contact a PI or a faculty member before you get to UCL?
No, there isn't. There isn't a need to do that, because if you think about it, we've had like 72,000 applications. So even if 2% of them were contacting faculty, they would be inundated. So they probably wouldn't respond to you. I think not unless you're going to be doing a PhD and if you're going to do research and you want to reach out with a proposal, or whether you want to do research with them, then potentially you could do that. But I think for masters, it's not necessary. But if you do have questions about the modules or about the actual program, you can contact the faculties, because they have an email address on the program page for clarification. Because you are traveling halfway across the world, you're investing so much money, like you may have more questions than what's on the website. So it's acceptable to contact the faculty, but don't be disheartened if you try to contact an academic and they don't respond.
Yeah, hi. I have a question about the English requirements. You said that we have like an option. We don't have to like have the English requirement in the moment we apply to the master. How does it works? For example, I don't know if it might be a little bit flexible with the scores or
so the way that you submit your application, and once we receive your references, if you are successful, they feel like actually we want to offer this young lady a place, what they will do is they will email you and say it's conditional based on you achieving your English, and they will probably give you a date of like when you will need to submit it, because you will have to submit it at some stage, but not necessarily kind of in the moment of making your application. And again, it depends on the program, because some programs will require a deposit for the program. So not all of them, but some of them will. So there will be a little bit of pressure on you in terms of, okay, making sure that you have everything in place. But generally with the English requirements, like you could submit it. So say for instance, you submitted an application in November and they got back to you before Christmas, and you hadn't sat your IELTS, like you'd probably be able to sit in February, March, and submit. But don't leave it too late in case you have to retake. So try to do your IELTS or your English requirements in a good amount of time, so that if you do fall below that you can retake it, because not all the time they will give you an allowance, even if you've met academic and you have an offer, if you do not meet the English requirements, because we'll have many that will do, and it may put you at a disadvantage on the program if they feel that your English isn't up to standard. I hope that's helped. Is there any questions?
We have some questions. So Alejandro says, can you give us your contact again, please?
Oh, my contact.
Yes.
Okay. My contact is petrova.lewis@ucl.ac.uk. An easy way to find me is just to Google UCL Columbia, and you will come up with a page on our website for Colombian applicants, and it will have my name and my contact details on there. And then also soon I'll be putting up a link so that people, if you want to book a one-to-one session with me, then you can have that, especially further down the line if you are applying. I'm happy to do that.
Thank you so much. Do you have any other question, guys? Yes.
For the PhD program, is it compulsory to have a master's degree before?
I think generally, yes, you do have to have a master's degree to do a PhD program. If you're thinking of a very specific area, then you can check online, but generally the rule of thumb is that you have a master's, then you do the PhD, or you have at least an MRes, which is the Masters in Research.
All right.
Also, just to encourage you, I think in 2021 we had about 67, just under 70 students from Colombia. The vast majority of them are postgraduate, so very small numbers are undergraduate. So it is a respectable number of students coming from this region, especially compared to some of the other universities in London. So just be encouraged. We do admit very good quality applicants from this region, not just this region, but from this country.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead with another question. So Luis says, hi, I'm just wondering if there is any chance to get a waiver for application.
No, unfortunately not. I mean, on our website, we will advertise that you can contact admissions, but usually it's really for people that are in really extreme situations. Like, for instance, you're coming from Ukraine or using Pakistan in the floods and like really severe situations. Generally, we don't give out the waiver. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, guys. Any other question? Yeah.
I'm interested in the scholarship to Semillero de Talentos, but I'm in the Semillero de Talentos Pro Imágenes. Apply to the scholarship, or is other scholarship? Yes, thanks.
So you tell us that 12 people are going to like be part of that list. Okay. 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 So what requirements do UCL like take into account to be part of these two people?
Well, that it gets basically taken up to another department, which is our scholarship team, and they have their, I suppose, criteria in terms of assessment, but that's not a criteria that we would share out with prospective people, unfortunately. But we understand it is a very valuable scholarship, and usually everyone that comes from Kufature are extremely like credible candidates. So it is a very tough, I think with any kind of scholarships, it is always tough deciding who gets it and who doesn't. But yeah, that's as much as I am allowed to say.
Okay, thank you.
Especially online.
We're going to go ahead with online. So you give me just 1 minute, okay? So Daniel Hernandez says, it is necessary to have IELTS exam?
IELTS,
Yeah.
the English. No, you don't have to have IELTS exam. If you go onto our website, onto our English requirements, it will list Cambridge, it will list TOEFL, it will list other English assessments that we take. Also, if you've been working in a company and speaking in English as well, so other evidence we will take. But generally from this region, it is the examinations. But we do take different, so it's not just the IELTS.
Thank you. And next one, we're going to go ahead with Maria Rodriguez. She says, I saw some program ask for a fee of 1,000 GBP. Do I have to pay that fee before getting accepted?
I'm not sure which program she's talking about, but no, not on the UCL website. The application fee is £90. If you're submitting a paper application, it's 110, but nobody really does that. So I'm just a bit wary. Sometimes there's a deposit that is required. So I think that's basically once you've been offered, you accept your offer, then they will ask you for a deposit for that program to secure you, so you can, and also for you to secure that place. But not many of our programs do ask that, but it is mindful that like they want to know that you're really serious and that they're not holding your place that could be given to someone from Philippines or someone from St. Lucia who also wanted that space. And just another thing about the IELTS, also we accept academic IELTS as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So we're gonna go ahead with you guys. You raise the hand, right?
You talk a little bit about volunteering opportunities. I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more on this.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
You talk a little bit about volunteering opportunities.
Yes.
I was wondering if you can elaborate a little bit more on
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I think it will also depend on which clubs and societies that you get involved with, because through those clubs and societies, there'll be volunteer opportunities. Sometimes you'll find opportunities tend to be with the local community. So for instance, if you were studying law, you may be giving free pro bono law advice to local people. It may be that you're working with young people, children, to do with helping with their aspirations. And again, it just depends on which clubs and societies that you're involved in.
Is there some computer science related stuff?
I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm sure there probably will be, or there is. We have, I think, over 150 different clubs and society. And if there is something that you want to do that is not available, you can ask bid for the money. And there's from the student union, especially if it's to do with social engagement and helping people, like that's an amazing thing. So yeah, you can bid and get the money and then get other people on board, which is great for leadership.
That sounds great. Thank you. And I have another question. I was wondering if you can, for instance, differ an application. For instance, I was wondering that I can get a chevening scholarship. However, I don't have enough work experience yet. I will have it the next year. I was wondering if I can apply now and differ my application and apply to the chevening scholarship as well.
It's a very good question. And if you'd asked that question 2 years ago, the answer would be quite different. But currently, we're not accepting deferrals at UCL anymore. It's just that I think what they find is that a lot of people that defer don't actually end up converting and turning up, and we're holding places for them again. So it makes it very difficult to manage the volume of applications. So unfortunately, they don't, not on postgraduate, they won't defer. So if you're thinking of that, then maybe it's best to apply for the year that you want to study. And I can't talk about chevening because I'm at Kufature.
Thank you for your response.
Just also, just some other general information. When you study in the UK, your visa will allow you to work part-time. So, you know, there is the opportunity to work in the UK. Obviously, this depends on, you know, your finances and your program that you're studying. A lot of students work for the university as ambassadors for casual labor, which is really great because you help us promote on social media and events. And your student visa generally will give you some restrictions, but you're allowed to work in the UK. And depending on whether you stay on after your studies, the government allow up to 3 years for students to stay on and work in the UK. So that is another benefit for international students, which again, a few years ago, they had stopped that. So students, once they finish, had to leave, but now you can stay on through applying for another visa. Just trying to think of any useful stuff, yeah.
I want to study a master, but this master is in architecture, but
Yes.
have a tutoring of 2 years. I am in the Semillero de Talentos, but
Okay, that's okay. Okay, no, it's just for 1 year. It's only for 1 year masters, unfortunately. For those, we don't really have that many. Like the one that you mentioned is probably one of very, very, very few. But generally, all of our masters are 1 year, so the agreements are only for 1 year, and then for PhDs, it is for 3 years.
Can you give us 1 minute? We're gonna go ahead with online.
Yes, please. Thank
So Mariana says, do you think it's good for the application process having around 5 or 6 years of work experience for an Master of Science program? I have seen that the average age in Master of Science is around 23 to 24 years.
Yes, that's correct. Just generally on average, obviously there are people that are older with more experience. Experience is great. It brings a richness to the conversation and to the classes and engagement, but it's not a requirement of most programs. So again, some programs will ask for 1 or 2 years experience, but generally for master's program, there isn't a prerequisite that you have to have a lot of experience. But you do find that you do have students that have had a couple of years experience and then decide that actually this is what I want to do my master's in, rather than lots of undergraduate students going straight on to master's programs. So we do appreciate it in the class. It brings, like I said, richness of conversation, especially different people from different parts of the world with different work experience in different industries.
Thank you.
Okay.
So one moment, just 1 moment, please. We're gonna go with Camilo Alejandro. He says, I'd like to ask, is there any funding partnership between UCL and the Copter Foundation for the pre-master program?
No, unfortunately there isn't. We don't really, no, we don't. That's the answer.
Okay. Okay, it says maybe through the Programa de Idiomas, the language program.
Sorry?
Maybe through the language program. No.
No.
Good.
Okay.
Hi. So a while ago you were mentioning that we as students with our visa are able to work part-time while still studying a postgraduate. And I wanted to know if there's a possibility that we could work on campus and we can be like, I don't know how to say that.
Ambassador. So I mentioned before, yeah, it's student ambassadors. Yeah, that's very welcome. And we pay actually quite good rates at the university. So it's a good, we would say it's a good gig if you can get it. So it's a good job. And you're not committed that you have to work every Thursday at a certain time. It really is event based, or sometimes if you want to be like what we call a uni buddy, so someone that will be open to talking to people online, social media. There's lots of different opportunities, but yeah, we do hire lots of students to work at the university for us. You're welcome.
I have a question about the scholarship of Semillero de Talento. It says that it's for non-clinical master degrees, but I want to study a master degree in neuropsychology, but it's not clear for me if that's a clinical or not clinical, because in here in Colombia, sometimes psychology is in the social humanities
so
area.
humanity.
So, yeah.
To be honest, I would need to check that because I can't answer that directly, but yeah, definitely contact me and I can double check that for you.
Thank you.
Also, I think because some of our medical clinical program master's programs are more than 1 year, so also that is an issue. Many of them sometimes are 2 to 3 years. Okay.
The 1 year is for a study mode, the full-time or part-time?
No, international students can't study part-time in the UK. You wouldn't get a visa. So the UK government only give visas for full-time study. So you can work part-time, but you can't do part-time study.
Okay, we only study full-time.
Yeah,
Yes.
full-time. Yes, but when you get your schedule, it won't seem like full-time. So it depends really, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you will be in 5 days a week from 9 till 5. So you will have time outside of that. So it's officially it's called full-time, but it will vary in terms, like it could be 3 days or 2 days, depending on your program and the schedule.
We're gonna go ahead with Ivan. He says, I have a question for both Kufature and Petrova. In order to apply for a PhD program, what other ways are available to finance the program in London, having in mind that the amount of Kufature grant is not enough for 3 years of the program?
Sorry, so can you just summarize that for me? Is he asking for more funding? Okay, on the presentation, I did mention there was some links where you can look online for other kind of funding opportunities. There are some postgraduate and research websites that are not necessarily specific to UCL, but they advertise lots of funding and opportunities for PhD students to gain other funding. And then also to look at the 3 points that I gave about looking for potential opportunities. You will see whether there are any studentships or there are any funded PhD programs, but there are PhD websites that you can, it's called Find, I think it's called Find a PhD. So this is a global website for, and it advertises PhD finances and programs for all over the world, for all lots of universities.
Thank you, Sue. More questions, guys? More
Okay.
questions?
No, don't, that's
Do you wanna
fine.
add something like an advice for them?
My advice, like I said before, like we've had, respectable numbers from Columbia. I've worked for other institutions and they're proactive in, recruiting students from here. And so, yeah, feel encouraged. It is a highly competitive process. I'm not going to underestimate that. But there is opportunity and chances. At UCL, we have sort of a Latin American research and academic group. So we're investing not just only in, okay, we want to recruit students, but we're doing a lot of collaboration and research with institutions across the region to help with the development and sharing of research and academic knowledge. So we're very much invested in this region. And yes, and I'm really pleased that it's been a really good turnout. So definitely big advice, like read the programs online. A lot of things are answered. And if there's anything that you're uncertain about, definitely contact me. And if it's about the program, you can always contact the faculty. And if it's been like 3-4 weeks and they haven't got back to you, just email me and I can follow it up for you on your behalf. But thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you guys for being here and for the ones who are online. It was a really wonderful experience. Thank you so much for all this information. It's very useful for all of us. So remember, if you want to have more information regarding this scholarship, you can go ahead with the webpage called Kufature. So thank you so much. And the event is over. Thank you.